This is going to be pretty abbreviated because we will be talking about this more in depth at our maintainers track talk on Tuesday. But I just wanted to kind of give a highlight of sort of what's new at a high level in OTel and talk a little bit about some of the things that are coming up in 2026 and throughout the rest of the year. So we've been doing a lot this year in terms of trying to stabilize some things in the specification and get things and really just complete some work. So one big example of this is our declarative config work. So what this is, it has gone 1.0 recently, and it's rolling out throughout various implementations. But this is a single consistent way to configure OpenTelemetry SDK and instrumentation via a config file. So if you're interested in more on this, I believe we have a talk on this later today. Looking for a yes. Do you know? We have a declarative config talk today, right? Okay, I'm pretty sure we do. Check the schedule. But yeah, so that'll be really exciting, and that's going to help out a lot with people getting started and operating OTel. The next big thing that we recently kind of announced is our OpenTelemetry eBPF instrumentation, or we're calling it OBI, that was released in alpha earlier this year, a couple months ago, I want to say. So very excited about that. We've also been working a lot on structured events, structured logs, events, and complex types. So something that just stabilized in OTLP 1.19 is the ability to pass complex types. So instead of just primitives like string, double, whatever, you can send in a complex attribute as an attribute value. So, and again, a lot of this stuff is stabilizing in sort of the spec and sort of the lower level parts of the protocol. It will take some time for this to roll out into actual features that you can use, but if you're interested in this from a development perspective, then I'd love to talk to you more about that. A lot more stabilization around semantic conventions. We completed database SemConv this year, and we're working on RPCs, stabilizing RPC conventions right now. So that is, I think there's some SemConv people here. You all are doing great work. And the last big thing, and you might have missed this, we'll be talking more about it this week, but we did release a blog post. We, as the governance committee, released a blog post over the weekend talking about some desired proposals to really evolve how we think about stability and releases in OpenTelemetry. And I don't want to get too into the weeds on this. Suffice to say, when we've been listening to a lot of feedback from sort of end users, and one of the things that we kind of consistently hear is that OpenTelemetry is very large. It's very complex. There's a lot of moving parts, and how all those parts fit together is not always incredibly clear. So we're not exactly sure what the mechanism of this is going to look like yet, but we want to solve this problem, and it's going to require a lot of effort across sort of everyone in OTel, every SIG, and also from you, sort of our end users and community. So we are asking for feedback and discussion on this. We super want to hear about like problems you have about releases or stability or how to roll out OTel in prod. We would definitely like to hear that. We have a GitHub discussion on our community repo that you can chime in. But if you want to talk about this with anyone on the GC, especially this week, look for people wearing OTel swag. Has anyone here got the shirt? Where's Trask at? I saw Trask had the shirt. Okay, find people wearing like that shirt, the OpenTelemetry jersey, and they are maintainers. They will help you and be very interested in talking to you about all things OTel. Yeah, it's on the getting there. And then finally, events, the fun kind. So there's two big things. One is that we are kind of rebooting our unconference series, OTel Unplugged. So this is our first one is going to be in February in Brussels. right after FOSDEM. So if anyone's over there, we'd love to see you. You can scan this QR code for more information, and we do hope to announce more dates for this fairly soon as we stabilize them. And we would love to talk to you more about OTel Unplugged or about anything else and all things OTel. So come to our maintainers track talk. That'll be tomorrow at 5 p.m. Building C, Level 3, Georgia Ballroom 3. And then in the Solutions Showcase, please find us at the Open Telemetry Observatory if you would like to discuss any of the things that we just talked about. And with that said, I'm wondering if I have chewed enough time for our next presenter to get here. Cilium. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, so 45 minutes, I found out that I had to be here because my colleague wasn't feeling very well, so which is why there's no photo. It was supposed to be Donia, and she's feeling very poorly this morning, so I'm just going to give you a little update. I've had a quick look at the slides. I can improvise a little bit. But yeah, so I was supposed to be upstairs at CiliumCon. I'm just going to be here with you for the next 5-10 minutes just to give you an update on all things Cilium, Hubble, and Tetragon. I'm hoping that many of you are already familiar with Cilium. You heard Austin mentioning already eBPF. Cilium is probably the most notorious eBPF project in the community, and it powers networking, security for clusters across the world. And its observability platform is called Hubble, and hopefully many of you have used Hubble before. It can provide that visibility of network traffic across your environment. And we also have a little sibling to Cilium, a platform called Tetragon, which is more focused on security, observability, and enforcement, but more at the runtime levels than at the networking level. But yeah, the focus of obviously today is observability. Again, because we use eBPF, we are able to extract lots of low-level data about traffic in your environment. So we use that to represent all traffic in your cluster in a service map using Hubble with a CLI or with a user interface. And it's kind of like TCP dump, but with Kubernetes context. And hopefully you've seen it before, but it takes no time at all to enable it. And we're able to collect lots of information about network traffic and or flows and export it to third party to the ELK or using Prometheus and Grafana. And we've added just a couple of things to Cilium in Cilium 118. Now the focus of this update is on the observability side, but Cilium 118 was really about providing IPv6 parity. Right? That was one of the focus of this new release, which came out over the summer. And before I talk about this new Hubble flow enhancement, one of the big things with stopping people from adopting IPv6 is observability, because you've got this very long hexadecimal IP addresses that are impossible to remember. But that's really one of the focus of Hubble as well, is to provide kind of IPv6 aware observability, which hopefully makes the adoption of IPv6 a bit easier. So what we've added in Cilium is something called the policy log. Now, Cilium by default is a container network interface, and it provides support for network policies, and it enables you to secure traffic in your cluster. Now, what we've also realized recently, running some network a survey across the community, is that people find it very difficult to implement network policies. Right? It's very daunting as a process to go towards a kind of zero trust. So what we've added is this log value here in network policies, which enables you to essentially add some metadata to your network policies so that when a policy is matched by some traffic, you can then see it in your logs, in your Hubble flow logs. So it just helps you correlate actual traffic with network policies that you deploy. So that just, again, it helps you get into like starting with a cluster that is kind of wide open where there's no network policy. It just helps you building your network policies as you start to implement that kind of zero trust model. The other thing we've added from an observability platform perspective is support for network overlay. If you're using Kubernetes, you're most likely you have multiple nodes, and typically to connect multiple pods across different nodes, we use a network overlay. And before, we were not really aware of the IP addresses of the hosts that were carrying the traffic between, across the cluster or across the overlay. And we've added, again, using eBPF classifiers, we've added support for this overlay traffic when we can actually see the packets that are being encapsulated. We know which pods are sending the traffic and between which nodes. So that helps us, again, understanding traffic and networking across a cluster. And we've also added plenty of new dashboards that we know that lots and lots of people are using Grafana and exporting information from Cilium and Hubble into Grafana. We've added some new fancy dashboards. And you can see us at the project booth, and we've got Cilium come upstairs as well. And that's it from me. Thank you very much for having me here for a couple of minutes.
Thank you. And now, David, presenting Prometheus.
Hey, thank you. Some of you may be a little bit surprised to see me up here. I'm on the OpenTelemetry TC, but I'm also one of the Prometheus team members. So I'm presenting on behalf of them today. Let's see. So first I'll say Prometheus 3.0 was amazing. It happened earlier this year. There are a lot of great talks about the many, many features that went into it. But I'm going to talk a little bit about what's happened since then. So one of the things that I'm most excited about is that the Prometheus server now supports keeping your original metric names when you ingest OTLP. So there's this new translation strategy configuration option, and you can select no translation if you want to keep your original OpenTelemetry names. We did do some supporting work for this as well. One of the things that's tricky in terms of the mapping between OpenTelemetry to Prometheus is that Prometheus generally expects you to put your metric, or your unit rather, and the metric type in the metric name. And so for the longest time, you just ingest your metrics, and it's kind of implicit what the unit and the type are when you read a metric. But this is not really the case with metrics coming via OTLP, written by OpenTelemetry SDKs and using the OpenTelemetry conventions. So to support that, we've added a new feature to Prometheus that's experimental, and it's called the type and unit labels feature. And basically what this does is that when you scrape metrics from a Prometheus endpoint or ingest metrics via OTLP, we add two new metadata labels, __ type and __ unit, with the type and unit respectively. And the benefit of this is that even if you have OTLP or even other sources of metrics where the unit isn't consistent between them and they have the same metric name, we're still able to distinguish them at the query layer. So for example, you can still query for metrics with seconds or separately query for metrics that are in milliseconds, do the proper math to be able to join them properly. So this is a way of like taking OTLP metrics that, because of semantic convention migrations or for other reasons, may have mixed types or mixed units for a given metric name, and being able to resolve that successfully with Prometheus. The other super exciting thing for Prometheus is that native histograms are now stable. So I think as of 3.8, this is a stable feature. You do still need to enable them in the Prometheus configuration. So I believe the option's called enable native histograms. Actually, it's on the next slide. But native histograms in Prometheus are the same thing as exponential histograms in OpenTelemetry. And so these don't require any configuration. So for the many of you who have used a histogram and then found that your buckets didn't match the data that you were getting, native histograms are an awesome solution. They basically are zero configuration. They're universally mergeable so that even when they come from different sources that are measuring different ranges, you can query them all the same. So they're really, really awesome, and they're now stable, which is a very exciting feature. There's a ton of other stuff going on that I don't have time to talk about. So deltas, open metrics, start timestamps, and it's all very exciting. It's happening in the Prometheus Dev Summits, which are open and monthly, as well as on the various issues linked here. And I'm also going to be giving a more complete talk on Thursday, so feel free to come and join me for that. Thank you.
Thanks, David. And up next, Dotan.
Hey everyone, glad to be here. My name is Dotan Horvitz. I'm the evangelist for the OpenSearch project and an OpenSearch ambassador. I just came back from Seoul. We had the OpenSearchCon Korea, so I have the T-shirt, and that's the picture from there. And lots of news. I'll try to get some of these to you. Just a quick recap. OpenSearch project and Apache 2.0 project for search and observability under the Linux Foundation with the OpenSearch Software Foundation. And the first big news that I have on the update is on the membership part that actually just hot off the press. This week we've announced IBM joining as a premier member to the foundation. So a big round of applause to IBM for supporting this open source project. And also supporters of this co-located event. By the numbers, just to get a cap, I'm really happy to see OpenSearch being on the top 20 projects by activity, contributor activity under the LF, amongst the 1,000+ projects there. So really a lot of activity, and as you can see, numbers speak for themselves. Just a quick recap, OpenSearch offers essentially three components: the backend, the core, which is the search and analytics backend based on Apache Lucene. Then there's OpenSearch dashboards for the visualization, dashboarding, alerting, UI, admin, and all of that. And data prepper for the ingestion component into OpenSearch. And a lot of projects, including CNCF projects on the ecosystem. And if you want to experience that, again, updates, you'll see that OpenSearch is today the out-of-the-box log analytics backend on the OTel community demo. So if you use the OTel demo, you probably already are using OpenSearch. Also, it's the tracing backend for the new Jaeger live demo. So check this out as well. This is the hot off the press. A few days ago, Jonah Cole published that. So check it out, his tweet. And the big thing, back in May, we released the next major release, version 3. So not just Prometheus, we also with major releases. A lot has happened in V3. So I won't be able to cover all of these, lots of things. But I just want to focus and give you a taste of the latest release, 3.3, that just came out last month, to give you a bit of that. So on the Discover, we have a new Discover experience. I just want to make sure that I'm not losing anything with the flight from Seoul here. So the Discover experience, we have a lot being done there: auto visualization, AI-powered PPL query construction, an interface for traces and more. Also, lots of new available chart types for more visualization abilities. The new Discover traces includes a click-to-filter interface, allowing construction of complex piped processing language queries, PPL queries, without having to write them. Talking about the PPL queries, Apache Calcite, an important open source, has also become the default query engine in version 3.3, which gives us migration compatibility across a wide range of data management systems. And also, it brings a lot of new PPL commands to OpenSearch. And really, in terms of PPL, lots of new commands, including like time chart and bin commands for analyzing time series data and distributions, a number of new functions to support statistical analysis, including the earliest and latest, multi-value statistical functions like list and values, MV join, and many, many others. So check it out. PPL is definitely a very, very powerful cross-signal query language as part of the OpenSearch project. Outside of features and stuff, I'm also happy to say that a couple of months ago, we've kicked off a new observability tag, technical advisory group. I'm honored to be one of the leads for this tag. We've already had a few very good meetings with folks from Uber, from Apple, from NetApp, from AWS, and many other contributors and community members. So really exciting stuff and a good place to steer the future of observability within the OpenSearch project. And this is a call for all of you to join us, to talk to us. We have a booth here outside at the co-located event and also on the main KubeCon, so come visit us. And online, this one QR code has all the lists and all the links, the Slack channel, the forums, the tech docs, opensearch.org, the meetups. We have user groups all around the world and many others, so check us out. And of course, feel free to reach out to me as well. I'm Horowitz on the CNCF Slack, on the OpenSearch Slack, on all the forums, everywhere you'd look for. Horowitz, my surname is my handle everywhere, so feel free to reach out also after the conference. I'm Dotan Horowitz, and thank you very much for listening.
Hello, hello, hello. And now we're presenting Cortex. Daniel.
Thank you. Hey, everybody. My name is Daniel. I'm one of the Cortex maintainers, together with more 5 or 4. I work in AWS currently. So for the ones that doesn't know, Cortex is a high-scale Prometheus, let's say like that. We work a lot with Prometheus. We are trying to do a lot of support for what they are launching and what they are doing. We also work closely to Thanos. The long story that we have in Cortex comes from Thanos. We have a lot of work with them together. And in Cortex right now, the updates that I want to talk about is we are trying to improve a lot of performance between what we're ingesting, when we're ingesting data, and when we are querying data. I think that's the most important things that everybody wants to do when talking to metrics. So one of them is Parquet storage. I think some of you guys already maybe listen about Parquet. It's a new format that people are using and discovering in the community. Instead of loading TestDB blocks, we are using a Parquet format. We had a great talk by one of our maintainers called Alain on PromCon. And if you are interested about it, go check it out. It shows a lot of the progress that Parquet has to us. Specifically for Cortex, we can replace Store Gateway, which is the one that loads all the blocks from TestDB. And for us, it's very expensive. Normally, we run, depends on your use case, but normally we run with more than 100 pods or something like that. And with Parquet, we can go down to 0, actually. We don't need store gates anymore. So it's a huge improvement for us. It's something that we are working on a lot. Another thing that we want to talk about is distributed query engine. It's based on the Thanos new engine. It creates a query plan. It spreads how your query is executed inside of Cortex. It basically divided the query in multiple mini jobs, and we can make concurrency out of it. It's speeding up a lot the time for the latency for query, actually. And it's also something very interesting that we are working on. We are seeing a lot of improvements from the latency perspective in query. Then the latest proposal that we are working on is something we are calling partitioning. This is more on the ingestion side of things. So the way that we work today is we can replicate data between gestures. It's basically our storage layer. And the problem with that is we do a mesh of information by ingestures. And sometimes when you have 2 ingestures down, you have basically 100% availability down, because if 2 are down, the whole request fails. So what we are proposing here, and we are trying to start working on, is instead of having this mesh of information going everywhere, we have partitions now, which has replicas between AZs. So instead of any 2 random ingestors going down affecting us, they only affect us if they are in the same partition, which is amazing for us. We are seeing a lot of availability improvements also. The chances, when you scale your service, the chances of 2 of them going down in the same partition decreases a lot by the size of your cluster. So when you are thinking about cases with like 1,000, 2,000 ingestors, the chance of availability being hit by 2 ingestors down gets close to 0. And lastly, I want to talk about the new release that we are having. It's probably coming out this week. We are starting with all the PRs for it. We are calling 1.20. It's a huge release for us. There's almost 400 contributions in that. 40 new contributors, which is amazing. Thank you for the support. Thank you for working in Cortex with us. Some big changes that we are doing there is, as David said about Prometheus 3.0, we are trying to support more of that in Cortex. So we are working to support Remote Write 2.0, which is coming out in this release. We are also working UTF-8 and native histograms. Native histograms, it's amazing for us also. We already have native histogram, but we are trying to get support for all the new features that we have. And lastly, the parquet that I mentioned, it's also coming 1.020. Thanks for the time. Come see us if you have any questions. We have a booth in the pavilion there.
Cool. Thank you, Daniel. And now representing FluentBit, Eduardo.
Thank you. Okay, so I guess that some of you are familiar with the project, and one of the problems that FluentD and FluentBit solve is all about telemetry, data collection, processing, and delivery. Pretty much, we collect data from multiple sources, and we are able to process and send that information to multiple destinations. That's the whole goal of the project. Okay, and today we are celebrating 10 years of the project, pretty much of FluentBit. So give an applause to the community who has been using this for so long. Well, actually, it was born in January, right? So, but we're celebrating this year together with the CNCF. And the good thing is the project has still been driven by the same values around performance, simplicity, and a vendor-neutral story around it. And has been trusted by all the cloud providers and is widely deployed. This year is over 15 billion deployments in total, which is insane. And another announcement that we have, most of you have been confused about FluentD, FluentBit, graduated, sub-project concepts. And tomorrow, we are officially announced that we are renaming the organization. So now the organization name is not FluentD, it's Fluent, right? And FluentD and FluentBit are both graduated projects under the CNCF. So thanks for your support, and this has been, we have been working this for more than 1 year. All the maintainers are happy with this little change. So you will hear more about this. So Fluent organization, we don't have the logo for the Fluent organization yet. You will see FluentD logo, FluentBit. We will come up with something in the following days. Okay, so the technical updates, FluentBit v42. This is a technical site. And one of the, in every release, major release that we do at KubeCons, we have a couple of things that we like to highlight, despite we have many of them. One of them is a new syslog support for RFC 6587. If you're not familiar with this, you are still dealing with this, maybe you don't know. It's a very old format in the way that the whole syslog packet, the packet flows with an octet counting framing that is called. It's not a big deal if you are a newer user of other protocols. And also in the security aspect, now we are allowing the output plugins to consume certificate thumbprints from specific stores provided by the operating system. And as I said at the beginning, FluentBit allows you to move data from different sources to different destinations. And the way that that is done is because we are able to tag or attach a label to the data. And then the destinations where this data is going, what it does is pretty much apply matching rules. Meaning, like, if the output destination, the configuration defines a matching rule for a certain pattern, the data will flow to that place or through multiple places. Okay, so same thing can happen with multiple sources, multiple destinations. That is the traditional routing that applies per logs. However, now we are extending this capability where now FluentBit is, besides processing, is being centered as a telemetry router. So the routing engine has been extended to support conditionals, meaning like if the data contains certain pattern, which is not the tag, can be routed to a certain destination. So for example, if you are running, your information has the debug key, you don't want to send debug to Splunk, right? You know what happens after that. You wanted to send it some cheaper storage like S3 or something that does not grow up your builds. And the other thing is like with OpenTelemetry, you know that you don't just have metadata associated to the log record. Also, a bunch of records can share metadata. For example, resource attributes, scope attributes. Now, wouldn't it be great that you can take routing decisions based on the shared metadata? This is also supported with conditionals now. So you can have the granular routing per the content data or be more context aware of the metadata. And of course, we support these conditionals with, it's very flexible in YAML. Nobody likes YAML, but everybody uses it. So that's a good starting point. And pretty much the concept is like, for example, if in the left we have some metadata with a service attribute, with a service name, with a value, then you can set a specific conditional routing saying that if that service name equals payment service, that will go to OpenSearch. Now, we found with users and customers that sometimes their configuration for routing has grown for 1,000 lines. So imagine trying to do the routing with 1,000 lines, having a lot of tag and matching rules. This simplifies this story, right? And now everybody can build a better UI for routing that will make our life easier. And nonetheless, for every release, we have a new FluentBit t-shirt. That's the one that we're wearing here. And I likely wear one every day. It won't be the same. And you can grab one as well. So we will have in the hall outside our community members. So if you are a FluentBit user or FluentD user, just stop by, ask for it. And as well, you can reach out to us in the Fluent kiosk in Project Pavilion during the KubeCon days. That's all. Thank you so much.